Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. We thank you very much for being here today, and we have a fabulous guest joining us all the way from Sweden. So Sussi Mattsson, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're globetrotting, you're going all around the world right now. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And I'm excited about our conversation. I happen to be quite passionate about the topic we're going to discuss today. So I'm looking forward to jumping in and just hearing your perspective about things. But before we do that, let me just welcome our audience. We know you chime in from 48 different countries around the world. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for being part of the Will Empowered community and listening to these fabulous guests that we have coming on our show. So let's just jump in, Sussi. So Sussi is a renowned documentary producer and author. She brings an ocean of experience on personal growth and leadership. She was an executive producer for a documentary about Jack Canfield's life, The Soul of Success, which was nominated for 2 Emmys. So that's exciting. And I know you had many other accolades, but I did want to call that out because Jack Canfield, he's a pretty well-known author and mental health specialist, and really gets into the soul. But Sussi is also the founder of From Me to You, which is a global movement, and she comes with a unique perspective where she challenges traditional views on leadership through wisdom writing. And Sussi, I have to tell you, writing has become a new thing for me in the last probably 18 months. So this is a big conversation to us for us to have today. So we're also going to highlight how you can write your way to healing and how that journey can actually take place. So I'd love for you to share your story and how that has led to your own healing.
All right. So we need to travel back in time when I was 8 years old. And I found out that my father had bought me a one-way airline ticket and made a false passport to put me on a plane the following evening. And he was about to sell me to strangers, a foreign country down to Southern Europe. And
Wow.
This was just 6 months after my mom had died from cancer. So I thought that I was worth saving. So I came up with to run away from home, which I did the following day, only 8 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And then we're going fast forward in time in 2012. And that was when I met my business was in a really successful place, and I found myself personal life that I had not so much meaning in life, not so much purpose. It was not fulfilled yet successful. So I thought there needs to be some connection with my past trauma. I need to go back in order to connect the dots. To be able to continue moving forward. So I revisit my past trauma, and I came to a point where I couldn't identify with that little girl who was 8 years old. She was so brave, courageous, and she followed through with actions. And I couldn't see that I was that same girl. So I thought, well, I need to write her a letter and at least say thank you. Thank you for saving my life.
Wow.
And by doing so, in that process, it was kind of a feeling of freedom that came over me, because the pain, the subconscious pain that I had and the burden of so many years suddenly belonged to the letter. It didn't belong to me anymore. So I thought, this is something going on in my body. So it made me curious to start studying how writing is healing. And I did that for 8 years. How can we write a healing letter to ourselves addressing a past trauma? And what key components do we need to address and in which order to fully embrace our trauma and turn the past wound into piece of wisdom. So that was the starting point of the whole From Me to You movement, the wisdom writing concept. Because when I studied, I found out a method that I tested out to my coaching clients. And I have coaching clients in over 20 countries. So I tested out and they got amazing results, like over and beyond. So I thought, well, it is kind of selfish to keep this proven successful method to myself and to my coaching clients. So we need to go on a larger scale. And suddenly we have like over 11,000 wisdom writers from all around.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sending in letters. So I thought, well, we need to do something and help more people. So now I'm on a mission to help 1 million people become wisdom writers. And yeah, that's the whole starting point of all this.
Wow. Okay. So not what I was expecting. I mean, just, for our audience's purposes, like I know that Sussi focuses on the healing through writing, but I was not aware of her own personal journey. So this is coming to me fresh, just like it is to our audience. And Sussi, thank you for sharing that, because I mean, first of all, like I got angry when I thought about your dad doing that. So I wanted to protect you immediately. So that's very, I can't even imagine. And especially after just losing your mom, like that's unbelievable. But it sounds like you were able to find your way to peace and to purpose. Like I really hear purpose in you with how do you help people go along that journey. And so maybe we talk about, there is a lot of power in wayfaring, whether it's for that next chapter, whether it's for healing, working your way through challenges. So how does someone begin that process of storytelling, accepting our story, and writing our way to the clarity we need in that situation?
Well, when I meet my clients, usually I'm an executive coach. That's my coaching clients. But when they want to expand and increase their success in their business, it's all about self-leadership. We need to level up their self-awareness first and take themselves to the next level before we can take the business to the next level. So I think that the first step, what I see is that many of my wisdom writers, they have totally closed the door because they don't talk about the past trauma. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. And some of them have actually revealed secrets they have been keeping for themselves. Or, so I think the first step is 100% acknowledge that this happened and not putting any thoughts, any judgment, any feelings into it, but just see this is what happens and this is it. That is absolutely the first step to raise consciousness that I am who I am because something shaped me.
Yeah.
And do I want to continue to carry this wound around? And what does it cost to carry it around?
Yeah.
And I think many people, what I have seen is that if we don't heal our past traumas, sometimes we subconsciously create those soul-sucking survival patterns that we are not aware of, and also we build those invisible walls around our hearts because we believe they will kind of save us from pain.
Yeah.
And so we have creating a new normal of our day-to-day life because we need to handle the trauma in some way. But what we are doing is actually letting the trauma affect our decision making, our core values, our self-beliefs, how we are as a father, as a mother, as a spouse, you mean all the roles in our life. So the starting point is that I will not play the victim card. I will not have any shame, any guilt, anything. I'm just seeing it exactly as it is and accepting it, that this happened. Mm-hmm. And when we can do that, I think that we need to be aware of that our core values and our belief system, both of them leads our life. They are very important in that way. And our life lessons highly is affected by both our core values and our belief system. So the second step is absolutely identify the life lessons, because when we can do that and see that this is actually how it has affected me, then growth takes place.
Mm-hmm, and for sure.
and when growth takes place, we increase our self-confidence. So I think that will be, just to give away something, that will be the two first steps that is really important to start with.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And you said a number of things there that my head was going ping, ping, ping. Because even, a hot topic that often comes up with clients is this imposter complex, right? And so what you're describing there, from how I heard it, was that when we try to push down those things that have happened that have shaped who we are and how we show up in the world, oftentimes we become imposters because we don't want to share those things. And once you do share it, or even to yourself, when you acknowledge how that has shaped you, that does start to shift how you see yourself, right? And then the power, it's up to you to choose, right? Like, do you want to be the victim, or, something I say often is, you want to be the victim or the victor, right? Like, which way do you want to go? And I was sharing with you, I've had my own situation of trauma where writing has actually helped me work through, now I understand. So even when I said protecting you, that's a tendency, a default that I have, where I want to protect others. And when I learned to write about that, it helped me identify why. Why am I never knew why I was a protector. Now I do know why. But I've been that person. So let's use me as an example. I've never been one who's enjoyed writing. One, because there's that self-critic of, what if it sounds stupid? Or so how do you get somebody that doesn't like writing to start to embrace that experience? Because it's very powerful what you've just shared about the self-leadership and identifying those life lessons.
Well, often I start with an easy exercise with my coaching clients, because they have to write a journal for 3 weeks before we start anything.
Oh, okay.
And there is 3 questions that needs to be answered every evening.
Okay.
And those are deliberate, and there is study behind this. So the first is to fill in the blank. I believe. And then just fill in the blank. Whatever comes to you, just no judgment, just fill in what comes. And then the second one is, for tomorrow I wish.
Right. Forward thinking.
And then fill in. And then 2 thoughts that I'm having this evening. So starting off with these 3 every evening, and then for the period of 1 week or 2 weeks, you can see a pattern. If you are brutally honest with yourself and you write spontaneously what comes to mind, you can see a pattern, what is going on the inside. And also it reveals actually your state of mind, because most of us need to pay attention more to our mindset, because we take our mindset with us everywhere we go. And so I think for those people who have a challenge with writing, they can just start easy with this little exercise of answering these 3 questions every evening. And then from reading those responses after a couple of weeks, you can easily see there is answers that you never thought will come up. That is my absolutely best advice, and I use that to my coaching clients. So
very nice. No, I love that. I love that. I think that's a really important to help you get started. And you know, one little thing I'll do often, and this is what got me started even, was setting a timer for 10 minutes and not lifting the pen, right? So not like, to your point, get rid of the shame or the critiquing, just write for 10 minutes, don't lift your pen, and then go back and highlight what are some themes or some patterns that you start to see.
Yeah. I had a woman, a wisdom writer, who was a survivor from a Boston Marathon, from the bombing of Boston Marathon. And she said, well, I have a little bit challenge of writing. And I said, well, just write. No, don't think, just write. Whatever comes, just write. Even if it doesn't make sense and it's not structured and it's not organized and whatever, just write. And she sent me 27 pages.
Wow. Amazing.
So something happened, because it releases all your emotions and you get more in touch with your inner self. And I think that's really important, that that not to be afraid of facing the dark side, and know that there is somebody else around you who has a proven system, a proven process here to catch you and to guide you and to hold your hand through it. So yeah.
Well, I love that. And 27 pages, that is incredible. So clearly she had bottled up a lot of emotions, angst, whatever, however you want to call it. But that release of letting that out, I'm sure made her feel, 20 pounds lighter and much more at peace, just to be able to get it out.
Yeah, because many of the wisdom writers witness that there is a sense of feeling of freedom that comes with peace, peace to the heart. And I think you have to experience that, because there is another level of living, as one of the wisdom writer expressed. There is another level of living. I didn't know that, but now I know. It's pretty transformational and a profound work when you can reframe your experience, from the trauma, and you can turn that piece of wound into something good in the wisdom. And
well, and what you're sharing there, it's how does one start to get to the root cause, right? Like, even the example I shared with you earlier, like, I've always been a protector, and it's gotten me in trouble a lot, especially when I was young, right? And never understanding why. And until I was able to start to write that out, did I even remember? Because sometimes when it happens at a really young age, sometimes you don't even remember. You have this feeling, but you don't even remember. You're not conscious of what actually took place. So, what I'm hearing from you, it's how do you go deeper to a place that helps you get to the root of, what has happened, and then that can help you start to shape how you want to view that, right? How has it worked for you or worked against you? And I love what you said earlier about writing a letter. You wrote a letter to that 8-year-old for being so brave and courageous. and which created a whole different life path for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was life-changing direction. But I also believe, working with so many clients, that sometimes we are not aware of consciously, we are not aware consciously how the past trauma has affected us.
Yeah.
We don't know. But when we are able to identify the life lessons, and we are able to acknowledge, and we are able to turn those life lessons into a piece of wisdom, then we can connect the dots. And that is really, I don't know how to express that, but it's really an amazing experience to witness the clients when they have these aha moments of, oh, now I know why I buy so many clothes to my child. Because you were so poor when you were a child. Or now I know why I'm this kind of father, because I was sexually abused and now I have 5 daughters. So they can see the patterns, and that brings them more understanding of self.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have more understanding of self, I think we're also more able to show up at our best self.
Yeah. Yeah, I would so agree with that.
Yeah.
And
So
even when, you get to that place where you are writing yourself to a healing place, why are our words that we choose so important? And how does that play a role in the healing?
well,
Or
I
does
believe
it?
words, yeah, but I believe words are important in everyday life, because the words we use are 100% affecting our body language, our self-talk, how we behave to others, how we are loyal to ourselves and our goals and our promises. So I think we should be really careful using our words in a day-to-day life. It's not just about trauma work. That is absolutely my belief. But I also believe that when you put words into your feelings, then it becomes real. And for me, when I'm sharing my story, people are saying, what?
Yeah.
They don't even believe that this could happen, because when they see me, it doesn't show on the outside what trauma I have been through back in time. So I think sometimes we are not judging, but we are seeing a person, and we are kind of labeled them into different categories, and therefore our words we speak are from that kind of platform, instead of meeting everybody with kindness and understanding and no judgment. Because what I have seen, working with wisdom writers from all around the globe, is that we have a lot more commonalities than differences. And to the core, we want the same things. We want happiness, we want belonging, we want love, we want purpose, we want all that. All of us want that. And we have the same pain. I mean, it doesn't matter if I have a woman in India who has been raped, or I have a woman in Canada who has been raped. They go through the same pain. They have the same emotions and roller coaster and everything. So I think words matters in everyday life, not just when we're talking about trauma. To be really careful. And I have a great exercise that I'm using, if I may share so,
Absolutely,
with my coaching clients, and that is actually, it's super simple, but really effectful. And that is taking the alphabet from the beginning, and say out loud as many words as positive words as you can as A on A,
Ah, love
and then
that.
continue on B, and then continue on C and D. And so we can start with amazing, a beautiful, B for B, calmness. And so I have had clients who are doing that in their mind, waiting on the train in the morning, or in the shower or whatever, because that helps us to raise awareness and also be conscious with our words and using positive words in a day-to-day life. It's super simple exercise, but it makes a huge difference because you access them easily. And yeah, it's super fun as well. So
I love that. I love that. And you could even make that a challenge with somebody that you're,
yeah, sure.
potentially, partnering with on,
Yeah,
like
in a family or with your
exactly.
kids, or yeah, absolutely. So it's
Yeah.
really fun.
No, that's a lot of fun. And I agree with you. It is all the time. It's not just when you're dealing with trauma. And often we forget how words can trigger, right? Because, depending on environments that people are raised in or whatever, words can have different meanings. And so being aware of how that translates to another human being is super important.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And I love that exercise. That's awesome. I'm going to borrow that, Sussi. I'll give you credit, but I'm going to borrow that one. I think that is like a really great way to, because it focuses our minds more to a possibility place versus
Yeah,
a dooms, right?
yeah.
And it helps you start to even reframe the way you think. So if I can go back to when you were sharing your story about you discovered your dad was going to sell you, um, but then you found that courage. So fast forward to 2012, what were what were the key messages that you were able to identify that has now kind of set you up for the wisdom writers, and this is a huge global movement that you're
Yeah,
creating. So
yeah,
it might be helpful for our audience to relate how it took
yeah.
you from here to here.
Hmm. Well, I believe that I think I need to share with you when I started out, because when I grew up, I was super poor. I mean, we didn't have any money. Uh, I mean, really. So when I started out, I actually educated to an interior architect.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but later on, having my therapy sessions, I could easily connect the dots that I wanted to create beautiful homes to other people because I didn't grow up and had a beautiful home.
Okay.
And so that was really a strong driven passion, that creating something that people could be happy in a home, in a building. So I was international interior architect for 13 years. But later on, when I uh, studied self-leadership and leadership in business and all that, and I started my business 22 decades ago, something, I think that helping people create more happiness in the day-to-day life.
Mm.
And that is absolutely a trauma response from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
because I know firsthand pain. I know to live with an abusive father. I know that. I know a pain of loss of a mother, a father who was about to sell me to strangers. I know running away from home, what that is like. Uh, I think I can identify myself with pain, a lot of pain, and different kind of pain. And also in 2016, I was a passenger in a really serious car accident. and I have a brain injury that is a permanent cognitive for a 9%, meaning sometimes I have difficulties with finding words or my memory or such kind of things. So it took me 3.5 years to come back to work.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I needed to relearn a lot of things from that serious brain injury. So I know pain. I would say I know pain, and
I
I
would
know
agree.
also how to bounce back. And because when we feel hopelessness and fearfulness, and it's really easy to find ourselves in a dark valley, and we need to ask ourselves, okay, how long am I going to stay in this valley, and what tools do I have to bring myself up from that valley as soon as possible, because otherwise the damage will be huge, you know. So I would say that working with coaching clients today with trauma, adversity, challenges, or helping them succeed in their business, I am the ultimate case study of all that. So I would say by using these tools, who has been proven for so many years, I would say it's easy for me to identify myself and understand what they are going through. And I think also that by doing so, when I show up authentic and real, I believe it also gives the space for others to do the same. And when we can create that safe space for clients and coaching clients, or then we can really do the real work, and not just, on the surface. Yeah.
Love that. Wow. I
So
mean, you just shared a lot there with how you chose to use what's happened in life to really help you connect with your purpose and to have a significant impact in the world. And it's way beyond the surface, to your point. Like it's how do you really connect with what you're meant to do? And like that's, to me, that's incredible and such a beautiful story. And there's a part of me that says, I'm really sorry that you've had to go through all these things, but when I see what's come out of it, that's really the miracle and the resilience that you've had to navigate all of these challenges. And that says a lot. I would share with our audience that we know it's not easy, but it's a choice. It is a choice. You can decide to, be the victim, as you shared earlier, or you can decide, how do I want to take these lessons and learn from it? And you're doing that beautifully through writing. So thank you. Thank you. Wow. Sussi, is there anything that you want to share with our audience? I know you've got, I think it's your book that's coming out. Am I right on that? Your book is coming out soon. It's not out just yet, but maybe talk for just a moment about From Me to You, and, what our audience can be looking out for.
Okay. So what the wisdom writers, that I call them wisdom writers because they're sharing their piece of wisdom, what they are doing is they're sending in their wisdom letters, and we are collecting those letters in a book collection. And currently we have 29 different titles, meaning that it will be wisdom letters for sexual abuse, or wisdom letters for suicidal survivors, and so forth, which means that people can read other people's wisdom letters filled with hope, inspiration, and courage, and wisdom they want to pay forward to others who are currently in the same situation. So I think that is really a beautiful thing, that we are trying to reach a larger scale of people who can benefit from this whole movement, and to be able to help a lot of people. That was the reason why I created the app. So the app is the From Me to You, and you can find the wisdom letter writing method in the app, but also other programs on mental health and trauma and anxiety and depression and so forth. So I believe that the app is going to be a tool that will be affordable for everyone. That is the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we are going to make a real difference, we need to collectively heal.
Yeah.
That
Agreed.
means that many people need to be able to buy this program. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like a high ticket program. So my mission is to go broad and collectively heal humanity, and therefore the price is really affordable. So that is one way to help yourself and your family and etc. And the other one is absolutely the books that is coming up. And as you mentioned, Vicky, my own book with my own story that is upcoming in a few months. So
Nice, nice. And Sussi, where can people follow you so they will know when the book is available? Is the best location on Instagram, LinkedIn? Like where would they find your information?
Instagram would be the place
Okay.
that I will be active. So it's Sussi Mattsson on Instagram. Yeah, you have to choose. I believe you have to choose one social media outlet. So Instagram is the one.
Okay. And just for our audience's purposes, from spelling, it's Sussi, Sussi, and Mattsson is Mattsson. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
Just want
That's
to make
correct.
sure. So when they go on Instagram looking for you and figuring out how they can connect, they have the right spelling.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Any parting words, Sussi? I know it's late where you're at, and I want to be respectful of your time. But any parting words you want to share with our audience before we wrap up today?
Well, I think that what we can leave the audience with is that use that tool with those 3 questions and journal every evening, because that I can guarantee, will make a difference if you do it in a couple of weeks, and you can easily see where you're going by reading your answers. So I will highly advise you to do that, and hopefully we'll see each other in the app.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, Sussi, thank you. I mean, you've had quite the journey in life, and I would say you are definitely an expert on how to navigate all the challenges. And I love the way that you've embraced that and figured out, like, how do I turn this into something with great meaning and purpose for yourself, but also for your goal of 1 million people. I think that you're definitely on to, something that will have that global movement. So thank you for sharing that with us today. And I'll just take a moment and thank our audience. I know you have choices as to what podcast you listen to. And our hopes is that every time you listen, you're taking away something, at least one thing that's really impacting your life in a positive way. And so we thank you for chiming in. And if you're curious about your own leadership, check out our free leadership quiz on wilempowered, and that's 1L, W-I-L, empowered. And it's a free quiz to take, and it gives you a lot of insight as to how you're showing up as a leader. So we want to thank everybody for being here and wish you a wonderful day. And we look forward to having you join us for our next Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Sussi, enjoy your time in Sweden, and thank you again for being here today.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for having me.